Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American slasher horror film from 2023, titled 8 Eyes. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The film opens with two men sitting around a campfire. One of them pulls out a mask, and when the other asks who it represents, the man replies that it is their new sister, adding that it feels as though their mama is staring back at him. The story then shifts to a couple, Cass and Gav, whose marriage is on the verge of collapse. In an effort to repair their strained relationship, they take a trip through Serbia. They end up gate-crashing a wedding where everyone speaks Serbian, and it becomes clear that they are the only Americans present. During the event, the MC jokes around with the women, including Cass, and the audience is introduced to another woman named Elena. After the wedding, Cass and Gav continue exploring Serbia, visiting different locations while Gav films everything with his vintage camera. In Belgrade, Cass begins to hear strange noises that leave her unsettled. She eventually encounters a local man who introduces himself as Saint Peter and is notable for having heterochromia, and as they talk, Cass learns that Peter also attended the wedding. Gav soon joins them, and during their conversation, Peter discovers that the couple is vacationing in the country. They say their goodbyes before Cass and Gav board a train to their next destination. Inside their sleeping compartment, Gav attempts to make love to Cass, but she tells him she is too tired and not feeling well. Frustrated, Gav goes to the bar car, and sometime later, he returns to their compartment drunk, and accompanied by Saint Peter. Gav tells Cass that Peter was kicked out of his compartment because he didn't have a ticket, so he will be sleeping in their compartment for the night. The next morning, Cass wakes up to find Peter staring at her, startling her. She excuses herself and goes to the bathroom, and after Gav wakes up, he begins talking with Peter. Since the couple is on vacation and Peter is a local, he offers to show them around and tells him about an old factory. As they talk, Peter is seen circling the rim of a cup with his finger, and at the same time, in the bathroom, Cass continues to hear the strange noises. When she returns, Gav tells her about the old factory, and Cass agrees to the idea, and they decide to go with Peter. They stop at a place called Vranj, and while walking toward the factory, they talk, and Peter offers Cass a ring, which she refuses. He then takes the couple to the home of his friend Josip and tells Josip that he will bring the couple to the factory. Josip drives them to the old factory, which turns out to have belonged to Peter's father, and then he leaves. Inside the factory, Gav is busy filming while Peter picks up a mask from the floor and begins murmuring. At that moment, Cass begins to hear strange whispers as well, and Peter turns to look at her. Cass is left confused, and as they leave that section of the factory, a drawing of a woman can be seen on the wall. Peter leads the couple into a larger section of the factory, where he tells them the story of how his family died. Gav continues filming, which angers Peter, and he orders him to put the camera down. Peter explains that 200 people, including his family, were working in the factory when a bomb exploded. He blames the Americans for the attack, saying they took his family from him and left him alone in his country. After calming down, he apologizes for his outburst, and the couple are unsettled by his behavior. When Cass asks Peter where they are going next, he tells them they will be sleeping in the factory for the night. The couple insists they cannot stay there, but Peter says he thought they understood that they would spend the night, then leaves to get food. Cass tells Gav she cannot sleep in the factory and decides she wants to return to their hotel, but Gav is reluctant to leave. While she stands on the road waiting for a taxi, Cass sees Peter returning, carrying chickens. He tells her she cannot get a taxi now because it is nighttime. Inside the factory, Peter kills the chickens, and he and Gav begin preparing them. When Cass fails to find a taxi, she joins them, and they all eat together. Cass remains suspicious of Saint Peter, while Gav seems to be growing closer to him. Later, when Cass checks her jacket pocket, she finds the same ring Peter had offered her earlier, despite her refusing it, leaving her uneasy. After Peter falls asleep, the couple goes to another section of the factory and begins to make love, and then The next morning, Peter is seen staring at Gav's filming camera while murmuring to himself. Later, he wakes the couple and calls a bus to take them to their next destination. When Cass steps inside, Peter tells the driver to leave, intentionally leaving Gav behind. However, it turns out he is only joking with the couple. The driver stops the bus, Gav gets in, and while Gav finds Peter's joke amusing, Cass does not. Peter then tells them he is taking them to his uncle's house, located in Macedonia. He speaks to the driver in his own language, saying that they are not ready for her. When they arrive, Cass feels uneasy about going inside, but Gav insists they will just eat and leave. Inside the house, Peter introduces them to his uncle, Jovan, who breathes through a tube connected to an oxygen tank. Cass, who is no longer comfortable, tells Peter she wants to go back to their hotel and sleep, and she secretly leaves the ring on a table. Before they go, Peter offers the couple a drink and gives Cass his contact number, telling them to call if they ever need help. On the way back, Cass asks Gav when they will return to the US. Gav says he isn't ready to go back yet, believing they still haven't repaired their dysfunctional marriage, and frustrated, Cass returns alone to their hotel. That night, at Jovan's house, someone is seen performing a ritual, pouring melted candle wax onto a mask. The next morning, Cass wakes to discover that Gav never returned to the hotel. After getting dressed, she goes into the streets and begins asking people if they have seen him, showing them his picture, but everyone says no. She tries messaging him but gets no response, and someone is seen secretly filming Cass. While at a grocery store, Cess begins hearing the strange noises again, and she later goes to a computer shop and messages her mother. Moments later, a group of gang members led by Anton enters the shop and tells everyone to leave. Anton starts flirting with Cess, threatening her with a knife if she refuses his offer to take her shopping. Just then, St. Peter enters the shop and drives the gang away, saving Cess, who is surprised to see him there. Peter asks what she is doing in the shop and where Gav is. Cess replies that she is waiting for him. Peter then tells her that he chatted with Gav last night and sent him to bring a watch to their hotel, which Cess finds hard to believe. While they talk, St. Peter is seen circling the rim of his cup with his finger. Cess becomes uncomfortable with the conversation and tries to leave, but Peter grabs her hand, and put the ring on her finger, and in return, slaps her before walking away. Cess takes off the ring and throws it away, then messages Gav, and this time he responds, saying he is at their hotel. When Cess returns, she does not find Gav, but instead sees his filming camera. As she rewinds the footage, Cess discovers that St. Peter has been spying on them. She comes across a video where Peter tells Gav to go to a bar, and she watches as a woman drugs Gav's drink. After he drinks it, he becomes weak, and Cess sees St. Peter gouge out Gav's ear and eye. Shocked, Cess doesn't notice Jovan quietly entering the hotel room. He knocks her unconscious with a taser and takes her somewhere, where she begins hearing the strange noises again. Later, she wakes up in a basement with her clothes changed, and while looking around, she finds another woman, Elena, who appears to still be unconscious. Suddenly, she hears someone approaching, so she quickly lies down on the bed, and just then, a fat man wearing a mask walks into the room. He goes to Elena, and Cess watches as he begins applying makeup to Elena's face. Afterward, he melts a red substance and starts pouring it into Elena's ears, and he leaves the basement when someone calls him. Seeing the coast is clear, Cess quietly leaves the basement, where she sees Jovan playing an instrument, though he does not notice her. She then hears loud banging noises and quickly hides under a table as Anton exits the bathroom. It becomes clear that he is working for St. Peter and that he was the one who sent the gang to attack Cess in the computer shop. Minutes later, St. Peter emerges from another room, now dressed, and it is revealed that his entire family is involved in a cult, with Peter as their leader. Peter instructs Anton to get things ready before taking Jovan into another room. Once the coast is clear again, Cess comes out of hiding and tries to open a window, but Anton catches her. She quickly grabs a knife and slashes his throat, then continues searching for an exit but cannot find one. Moments later, St. Peter comes out of the room and calls for Anton but gets no answer. Realizing how quiet the house is, he uses his ability and discovers where Ses has hidden Anton's body, and he takes his last breath before dying. Suspecting an intruder, Peter and the masked man head to the basement to check on the women, and we see Ses already back in the basement, pretending to still be unconscious. Peter tells the masked man to make Ses listen, then carries the unconscious Elena out of the basement. As the masked man prepares to pour the red liquid into Ses's ear, she stabs him multiple times in the back with nails. However, despite the injuries, he overpowers her, restrains her, and pours the red liquid into her ears. Afterward, he takes her to another room, where she finds Gav still alive but severely injured. St. Peter and his deranged family are also present, and several dead bodies are scattered throughout the room. Peter approaches Elena, who is now awake, and asks her what she is hearing. Terrified and confused about how she ended up there, Elena begs Peter to let her go and says she will do anything. Peter continues pressing her for an answer, and when she says she hears music, Peter instructs the masked man to kill her. Elena's corpse is later placed inside a box, and Peter then asks Ses what she is hearing. When Ses continues crying, Peter places Gav's head on the table and prepares to kill him. He tells Ses about the inner voice before brutally smashing Gav's head, killing him. He asks Ses again what she is hearing, and Ses sings the song she hears. This delights Peter, who declares that she is the one. He then takes Ses to a room containing his mother's corpse and tells her that his mother will speak to her in an hour. He places an eye into the corpse's empty socket, turns on a TV, and tells Ses that they will be waiting for her outside before leaving her alone in the room. Suddenly, an elderly woman appears on the TV and begins speaking about the living and the dead while circling a cup with her finger. Somehow, the woman begins speaking directly to Ses, and at the same moment, the eye in the corpse's socket moves, causing Ses to scream. It is then revealed that the people seen at the beginning of the movie sitting around a campfire were St. Peter and the masked man, and that their mother is now speaking to Ses through the corpse. The voices Ses has been hearing all along also came from the elderly woman. The woman explains the stages of the eyes, from stage 1 to 8, and how to open them in order to see. As she speaks, Ses begins experiencing a deep hallucination, seeing the elderly woman standing right in front of her. The woman tells her that she is now part of their family and will never be able to escape. After some struggle, Ses finally breaks free from her restraints and destroys the corpse. She grabs a sharp object and leaves the room, finding the area unusually quiet. While searching for an exit, she encounters the masked man. He tries to kill her, but Ses stabs him and slashes his stomach with the sharp object, killing him. Somehow sensing that Jovan is coming, she quickly hides, and when he appears, Ses hits him and removes his oxygen tank, leaving him to die slowly. Looking through a window, Ses spots a bus outside. She grabs the keys and heads for the exit. Ses finds many glass cups filled with water on the floor and notices a portrait of a woman and 2 little girls. The woman in the picture is the elderly woman, and one of the little girls is Ses herself. The woman is revealed to be her mother, and in disbelief, Ses destroys the portrait and scatters the glass cups before exiting the house and discovering that the place she was held was actually the old factory. She makes her way to the bus and struggles to start it. As she does, she is confronted by an enraged St. Peter, who demands to know what she did to his family and his mother. Ses manages to start the bus and drives away. When she looks back, she realizes Peter is not following her. With his deranged family dead, Peter throws the mask into a fire, and upon hearing his mother's voice speaking to him, he slashes his throat, killing himself. The scene shifts to the USA, where Ses is seen on a train, circling the rim of her cup with her finger. It is shown that she is now part of the cult, as the movie concludes. Okay guys, that's all the recap about 8 Eyes from 2023. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.